All right, welcome back. To continue with the day's discussion, we want to get into our Women at the Forefront segment. And as always, we love to know where you're watching us from and how you are enjoying the show. Talk to us using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. My handle is Jane Mamboyi across all social media platforms, and our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1, SMS number 20154. We welcome your views, your thoughts, your questions, or clarifications that you may be needing from this discussions that we are about to have. Now, as I have mentioned, we want to get into our Women at the Forefront segment, all about looking at what our women are doing in whatever capacity, big, small, phenomenal, just to encourage another younger girl or youth out there to do better, because they have walked the journey and they can always, you don't have to make the same mistakes, just learn from somebody else. And this is what this segment is all about. And today we have one lady with us. She is called Joyce Kimotho. She is a teacher by profession. She's also an education consultant. She is a motivational speaker and an author. Karibu sana, Joyce.
Asante, thank you.
So glad to have you this morning. Thank you for making time.
Welcome.
We appreciate that.
Yes.
I'm sure you're on social media.
Yes, I am.
Maybe you could give us your social media handles so that viewers can also get in touch.
Yes, Murajoy1. That's my Twitter handle.
All right.
So I think that's it.
Check her out on Twitter. Any questions that you feel you cannot share here,
Yes.
you can always slide in her DM and she'll be able to attend to them as and when she can. And as I'd mentioned, she is an author. She has written this book. It is called I Am Not Dead. Such a powerful title. She will be telling us the story behind this, because as she had told me, all this is based on her life story.
Yes,
Everything is true in this. There's nothing fictional in this book. And we'll be getting to that in not too long. But first, let's get to know a bit about you, Joyce Kimotho, the teacher, the education consultant, the motivational speaker, and ultimately the author. Tell us how all that falls into place and in what particular order.
Okay, great. I grew up in Limuru, that is Kiambu County. And maybe flash forward, I happened to lose my dad when I was in high school, Form 3.
Form 3.
And I think that is where everything else changed. And so I wanted to do journalism when I was younger.
Yeah?
I remember we went to Kenya Institute of Mass Communication, I think, and my mom couldn't afford whatever it was. And she told me, you can do teaching. I'm like, oh God, who loves teaching? Who wants to do teaching? But then I had to do a P1 certificate after my Form 4 because we couldn't afford. And so that's how I actually happened to now do teaching. So I did my P1 at St. Mark's, and then I did my education degree, English language and literature.
Did you eventually like it?
Yes, I actually came to love it. I came to love and appreciate teaching when I started doing it on a one-on-one basis. I've worked in several schools, but then when I started my own education center, that's when I started loving it, because you realize that you're able to have impact on a one-on-one basis. Yeah, so I came to appreciate it then. And now I'm pursuing my master's in communication at Daystar University. So, the dream is actually happening.
Ultimately, different times.
I tell you. Yes.
All right. So, let's just take a step back to something that you had mentioned. When you were in high school, you lost your father.
Yes.
Now, we always talk about, young folk losing a parent, a mother or a father. And for most people who might not have been in that, who might have not passed through that, they never really understand how that affects a young person, especially a student. You're smack in the middle of your teen years. How did that affect you, if you are comfortable, if you can remember that?
It did affect me in a great deal, because for the longest time, I actually healed from my dad's death last year after I published this book.
Wow.
For 15 years, I wouldn't look at the photo album because I was ashamed for all that time for not having a dad. Actually, there are people who read the book and they would tell me, oh, you mean you don't have a father? Why? Because I didn't want people to know. Because what happens for a young person, and for a lady actually, you'd find people taking advantage of you because you don't have a protector. And exactly that is what happened. I would remember how my dad would blow dry my hair in the morning when I was going to school. Then now this whole story is gone. You don't have the Sunday best clothes that you used to wear when you're going to church. So even your friends, the cliques that you had, will be like, oh, we don't want to be associated with you because they feel... I felt like they did, it's not me isolating myself, but I felt that maybe they would, because they feel that you're not able to fit in. You understand?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal for a young person. If it happened to you now, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah,
you know, because I'm like, I'm okay. But when you're young, that's a big deal. When everybody else is talking about their dad and you don't have any stories to tell them. And so I remember when I was in high school and they came to call us from we were called, my brother and I, the staff room, and we were told that, you know, your dad has been very sick.
From school?
Yes, this is at school. You know, your dad has been very sick. And so, you know, things can happen when one is sick. And I actually just felt it. I felt something has happened, and I just started crying. And so that journey from school going home, you know, because they've now broken the news to us, was really, really tough for me. You know, I was wondering, how am I going to live without a father? And so that was such a big deal. And so I can say that I was affected by the death of my dad in my teen years. I think even some decisions that I would make. Yeah. You know, sometimes for a girl, you definitely want to feel loved.
Daddy's girl.
You know? Yes. And so there's no other person giving you that attention to tell you that you're beautiful, that you're all that. And so, you know, you would end up doing some things.
What were some of those coping mechanisms that you found yourself gravitating towards that might have not been the wisest?
Well, maybe issues to do with boyfriends, you know, because at that time, you know, when you're in high school, you're supposed you're supposed to concentrate on your studies. But now here is something that you're not able to deal with. And maybe as we carry on, I will tell you that what happened after the death of my dad, I thought his death was the biggest deal. But what happened after his death was what I think messed everything up, because I felt some of our relatives would reject us, you know, and even even with church, you know, you're trying to...
There was some form of discrimination?
I felt, and rejection. I felt so. And in that light, maybe there's one of my relatives who really beat me so bad, which definitely is something else. I remember going to her house to be taught good manners, and then at some point I was told to cook pilau with the house help for everybody else. And she told her to go to the shop to buy githeri, shilingi kumi. You know, I've never forgotten. I want to tell you, Jane, that if you do something to a young person when they're vulnerable, they will never forget. They can never forget. So that one I've never forgotten. That I had to eat pilau, I had to eat githeri when everyone else was eating pilau, which I had cooked.
How old were you when this happened?
I was 17.
Just around the time after your father had passed?
Yeah. I think a few months after he had passed on. And so I think that is what... That plus now the beating and some humiliation and all that is what I really felt. I was wishing, God, what if my dad was alive? Would this happen to me? Is he watching? You know? So basically, I'm thinking if there's someone else who would be going through that, you know, you go to your aunties, maybe to seek for help, and they want you to maybe probably become house helps. And if you don't do that, then you're subjected to some crazy, you know, sort of beating and mistreatment, which you don't know how to deal and you don't know who to tell. At that time, my mom could not afford maybe to do anything for us. I didn't have a mobile phone, so I couldn't even call her and tell her, Mom, this is where I am.
This is what is happening?
Yeah, you know, because if your parent is, maybe they're considered to be of the lower status in the society, then, you don't have a protector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, just looking at that, what happened to you, you know, and looking at how the rest of the family responds to the younger children, the youth in the family, when they're going through such turbulent times in life.
Yes.
Do you think we do so just to castigate them and blame them for what they're doing instead of trying to understand what they're going through?
Yes.
We blame them for what they're going through, and yet it's not something they can control.
Yes.
And especially from family.
Very true, very true. You don't know about death until you experience it, until you lose a very close person to you. Yeah. That is when you would go and mistreat someone and look down on someone because they don't have a parent, or they don't have the nice clothes that they used to have, or they don't have, you know, whatever it is. But for me, when I lost my dad, I remember my mom went through a lot. And it wasn't just me. At some point, I wanted to just die and vanish from this world. But I would look at my siblings. And in that light, I would remember our last-born brother, my last-born at that time, he lost his father when he was 3 years old. So he definitely grew up without a father. And my dad was this kind of a person who wanted his family to really do well. And he wanted his family to stand out. He never wanted his family to lack. And so I realized that if I kill myself, if I commit suicide, who's going to help these people?
And at what point did you come to that realization? Is it as a result of what was happening to you, or you just got there by yourself? How did you get to that realization of, you know, I need to do better? In as much as I want to just, the world to open and swallow me whole, I cannot afford to do that for my family.
Yes, it's for the many instances where I would look at my brother, he's struggling to maybe go and do some, you know, mjengo jobs, firstborn to come and, I'm the second-born in a family of 5. So try to come and help the family. And I'm like, okay, when is this ever going to end? Then it's that time when I would look at my mom, and she has probably maybe 6 pairs of shoes to sell. She'd go get shoes from Gikomba, then, you know, she's trying to sell. So, and I would look at the 6 pairs and ask myself, is this what we're going to live on? And when are you ever going to sell these shoes? You know, it's that time when I was in school. I remember when I was in Kigari Teachers College, and I had a balance of 12,000, and my mom could not afford to pay that. And so the school was telling me to go home because now you can afford. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? Will this ever happen? This family, will it ever happen, you know? And so when I asked myself those many questions, I felt maybe I just need to go because this is too much for me to bear. But then I realized, now looking back, and I'm looking at my sister and my brothers, and I'm thinking, who's going to help them? If at one point they were told that I ended up dying, just like my dad, so I couldn't really stand up for myself, they would also give up on the way. So I don't have to give up for my siblings. And now I know I don't have to give up for so many other girls who are probably going through the same right now, and they don't have an outlet.
And during this time, you know, when you're coming to that realization, what would you say are some of those personal values that kept you anchored, that, you know, helped you maintain your sense of sanity to start with? And, you know, just to always remind you, in as much as it might get tough, this will keep me grounded, this will keep me going.
You know, when you're young and you're coming maybe from the shags, you know, you wouldn't really have models or people that you look up to. But I thank God for the internet at some point, because I started listening and watching videos of people who've made it through after struggling for a long time. And I teach English language and literature. And so my favorite poet is Maya Angelou. And I would listen to her poem, Still I Rise. And I would listen to her poem, Phenomenal Woman, you know. Then I would go and listen to Les Brown. I discovered Les Brown.
Hey, Les Brown.
You know. And you're like, you cannot give up. Not now. There's a reason why whatever happened to you, happened to you. You know, living a life full of purpose. I would now read books. I would read Sherazina Sharma's Straightened Toes and her journey with cancer. And it's a big deal. I was like, oh, I don't have cancer, so maybe I can, you know.
You're already better off.
You know, I started also maybe listening and watching Pastor Kathy, you know, and with her book, Celebrate Yourself, you know. And so that kind of motivation is what you get, because you become what you watch, you become what you listen to, you know. So you definitely have to feed your mind with a lot of positivity. Sorry. Yes.
All right. Now, you were now slowly evolving into a space where, you know, you are comfortable with who you are and what has happened to you, but you're not letting that be your ultimate reality. And at what point did writing come into the picture?
Writing came into the picture when I've done I've worked as a teacher for, I think now I can say 6 years. And I would find the students who come to me, I teach students from very rich backgrounds, you know, they're doing their IGCSE and all that. And so they would come with issues. You know, someone who's paying 1 million school fees per term is not, and you're wondering when they come to you, there's one who actually committed suicide, which is not a good thing at all. And you're asking yourself, what has this person lacked? And they're talking about not being loved, you know, to them it's about not being loved. And I'm like, oh, you know, what is that? And so they have issues. One of them would tell me about, you know, he wants to get into drug peddling, peddling drugs. And then I'm asking myself, what is it that you've lacked? So I find myself now not even teaching them and not linking them with schools, because I also do that. I find myself mentoring them and talking to them. And I realize probably if they read my story, they would realize that what they're going through is really not anything.
Non-issue.
You know? So I thought, if I put this down, then I will live for a purpose. I was writing this book to heal, number one. Number one was to heal, because I had a lot of things that I had bottled up. I grew up with a lot of bitterness and unforgiveness of those who hurt me.
I know that.
You know? So I was writing to heal. And number two was to inspire. So I told myself, if I die now, then I think I'm done. I think I've done what I should do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, getting to a point where you can put what you feel down on paper.
Yes.
How did that feel for you especially? Considering all you had gone through over the years and you didn't find a channel, a way to channel it out. How did that feel for you?
It was therapeutic.
Yeah.
I think it was the best thing that happened to me. I got to forgive and heal. It was therapeutic in so many ways, because when I joined Daystar and they taught us about intellectual property and self-publishing, I was like, oh, so I don't really have to go to this many publishing companies where, you know, you go there and you're told, bring your manuscript, you wait for 1 year, 2 years, you know. But there's a story inside you that you want to tell, and you want it to encourage someone else. So that was really therapeutic. It was something that liberated me from, I think, myself. Because at some point I think I felt I was living in a cocoon. I at some point became a workaholic. you know the way you,
as a way to escape,
to run away from it.
Yeah.
You know, so you find you're working here in one day you've gone to 7 places within Nairobi. You know, because yes, you want to work and make money, but still I think you're running away from yourself. So when I did this, I felt liberated, and I felt, oh, wow, joy, welcome to the world. This is a world for you.
And for so many people who are struggling to find something that, you know, helps them heal, you know, to understand yourself as a person and what helps you heal, what would you like to say about that? You know, just trying to understand yourself and understand a way that can help you heal that is not destructive.
Yes.
Because most of the times you always go down a destructive path because, you know what, I'm just acting out, I need to let it out, and this is my way of letting it out. But you can do that in a constructive way.
Yes. Find mentors. Tell your story to heal. Tell your story. You might tell 1, 2, 3, 10 people, and they talk about you, but that's not your business. That's none of your business. That one person or those 2 people who are going to come through for you, that's it for you. That's it for you. I looked for mentors, and I actually happened to also find people who are older than me. People, you know, people who are maybe the same age as you. Would be telling you, Joy, let's go for a road trip where let's do this. But they're not helping you. But find people who've gone through it, and then they can teach you, this is what you do. Because you'll always find mentors. You know, we are saying what you watch is what you become. What you seek is what finds you. So look for mentors. I happen to find mentors like a lady called Miss Lucas. She's a senior person in this country right now. I also happen to find a mentor in Mr. Mbashu. Mr. Mbashu was head of finance at KU. And I remember I would go to KU. You know, I don't have school fees. I don't have school fees. So I'm telling him, now, what do I do? And he would tell the rest of the guys, please register Joy. She will pay. So he happened to become like a father to me.
No idea how you're going to pay.
Can you imagine? Then my brother also went through KU. And so I told him, please help this one. So he happened to become like a father to us, myself, my brother, and my sister. So if you find mentors, they will encourage you. And they will tell you, by the way, you know what? You are going to make it. Because as much as we have self-belief, you also need someone else who believes in you.
Yeah.
You know? So basically, I would say find mentors. Find mentors.
They help guide your path.
Exactly. I have a mentor who doesn't know me, but I know her. Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Someone that I watch and listen to. I listen to Lisa Nicole. I happened to discover her on YouTube, and she would encourage me all the time. You know, she would say, and this is what I live for, by the way, a mantra that I live by. I have nothing to hide, nothing to protect, nothing to defend, and nothing to prove to anybody. So who do I choose to be in this world when I'm alive? Because we are all going to die.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
An ultimate end that we always fear to think of,
Yes.
to talk of.
Yes.
But it's the ultimate end.
Yeah.
Now, looking at your book,
Yeah.
when you look at it right now and you read some of the chapters in it,
Yeah.
does it teach you something about yourself?
Yes, it does. It does. It teaches me that I am resilient.
You're
I
resilient.
never thought I was. But it also teaches me about the power of prayer.
Yeah.
My mom taught us to pray when we were very young. She would go and cry in her bedroom and she's praying. She's mentioning our names, full name, everybody. Three to five every single day. And I was like, no, what is this, Mom? It's not working. Come on. But now I can see the fruits of those prayers. So it teaches me that it's important for you to have a relationship with your God and to pray and believe in yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, here there is, let me just try and find that chapter. You talk about forgiveness.
Okay.
And that is something that most people struggle with, especially after you have gone through the worst
Yes.
that you could think of, and
Yes.
especially when they come from family members.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to the youth and just trying to get to that place of forgiving your family for
Yeah.
what happened or what one of them might have done, what would you say about that, considering what you went through?
It's not easy. It is not easy. It's not. You just have to. I think for me, before I got to forgive whoever wronged me, I would do it in percentages. I would say, okay, this year I've forgiven up to 50%. This year 60. This year, you know, I'm still at 95, Jane. I am still at 95%. So there's 5% that is still remaining. So it's not easy to forgive. But when you realize the power that forgiveness has, then you definitely will embrace it. It liberates you, and you actually end up now focusing on more important things than just to bottle up, who did this to me and who did that to me. It's a lot of negative energy. But
Forgiving
it's not
helps
easy.
you,
Yes, it helps
the individual,
you.
as opposed to, you know, whoever might have wronged you.
Yes, yes,
Alright.
yeah, it helps you, not that other person. Just tell yourself, okay, this is me. I have forgiven them, and I need to focus on my future because this is not important. It's in the past. It happened, and it happened for a reason. You know, yeah.
Now, when your family gets to read this book
Yeah.
and they read some things that they had no idea were happening, what are some of the reactions that you get?
Yeah, there's about the beating that I received from that relative that I've talked about. When my mom read the book, that's the time that because I told, you know, she has to give me the go ahead.
Yeah.
You can publish this. She was stressed out. She didn't know how to deal. She was like, why did she do this to you? Why didn't you tell me about this? I'm like, but Mom, I thought I shouldn't tell you because maybe you will have been on her side and all that. And then again, I felt ashamed. Why should this happen to me? You know? So when they read, especially now that bit of the beating and the being told to eat, you know, githeri when everyone else is eating pilau, they felt for me. I would see my sister started crying. And she'd be like, where is this person? You know, they feel like, what are we going to do to this one? You know? Yeah. So I didn't want to tell anybody. You know, being vulnerable with your story like that is a big, big deal. I had to sit in my room for a very long time. I think for months when I was doing this sometimes I would call my editor and we were looking at it and I'm like, should I have it out? Should I not? Should I have it out? Should I not? But if it is meant to help someone else, then why not?
Why not? Let's
do this. You can't die with your story. You know, like Martin Luther said that the richest places are in the graves, not the gold mines. Yeah, because there's so many happening there that should have happened, but you know what? Those people died, and so, I mean, they died with their story. So I thought, tell your story to encourage someone else. Yeah.
So it was also for your family to get to understand you better.
Yeah, thank you.
In a way.
Yes, I actually wanted that to happen. Why is it that I behave the way that I do?
My side of the story.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to, you're also a motivational speaker.
Yes.
What are some of the areas that you focus on, given that you are making yourself this vulnerable for anyone to be able to see? What are some of the areas that you are passionate about talking
I am passionate about dealing with loss. You would deal with loss of a loved one, but also there is also dealing with loss of a friendship, dealing with loss of a relationship. how are you going to work that out? Because there's so many people and actually so many problems. The reasons why we have all these problems because one thing, people do not read.
True.
So they do not know how to deal with that kind of, whenever that happens. And so they would end up maybe taking drugs and maybe for young girls, they would maybe look for whatever it is, you know. Distractions, you know, which definitely now works against them.
Yeah.
So I thought it's important for people to know how to deal with loss as it comes. There's a favorite
and
poem.
not delay the process?
Yes, not delay the process. There's a favorite poem, another one of my favorite poems is One Art by Elizabeth Bishop. And she talks about how you would start with losing your keys, you start with losing your watch, and then you lose your car, you lose your house, but nothing is a big deal. The only one that would be a big deal is when you lose a loved one. But still, that too is not a disaster. Because after 2 weeks or 3 weeks or maybe 1 month, you've forgotten and you have to move on. So the thing is, you've got to know how to deal with loss so that you can be able to move on. Yeah, because why should you die before your time?
Dealing with loss.
Yes.
How would you advise, you know, for those who might not, you know, have access to all these resources that are there, the great internet, the World Wide Web, books, but they are struggling to just understand themselves, and especially during that period when you're dealing with loss.
Yes.
As you're here now, we might as well take advantage of this time.
Yes.
What would be your advice to some of the young people out there who are struggling to go through that process of dealing and grieving and actually accepting loss as it has come, especially from loved ones?
Yes. For those who don't have internet, access to internet, maybe they don't read books. You can read the Bible, but you know what? It's one thing reading the Bible, and it's another thing because have you ever met the people who are in the Bible? You've never met them, right? Yeah, but if you read the stories of maybe someone like Jane, and I've already met her, then I will be able to relate. So please read stories of other people as much as you're reading the Bible. But what I can say is, if you find yourself that you're not in a position to do anything, pray. That's all. Pray. Connect with your spirit. Whether you're a Muslim, Christian, whatever, pray. That will give you answers. That prayer is therapeutic. Prayers are palliative, you know, healing to the soul, you know. Pray because you will know, I've told someone else. Who cared? You know, sometimes you might want to tell your parents some of the things you're going through, but they don't have answers. Some of them don't even know about prayer and all that, so you know, you don't know how to relate. But when you tell it to someone that you know, they know, and they're going to help you out, then you're good to go. Because you're not carrying the burden on your own. There's someone else who knows about it.
So prayer is a good place to start.
Pray.
When you feel you have nothing else going on for you.
True.
Start by praying.
Pray.
It will help.
Yeah, it does.
Now, you are a teacher, motivational speaker, an author. Of course, you have to strike a balance when it comes to all this. When you're teaching, and one, of course, you find them intertwining. When you're teaching, you might find yourself motivating. And ultimately, you know, you get inspiration to write. How do you strike a balance for yourself to make sure that you don't lose one part of you while building the other?
I realize that we all have a purpose. And even the kids that we work with, or the students that I work with, they also have a purpose in this world. Sometimes they're going through issues and they don't know why. Sometimes they would ask you, why am I struggling to study so hard? And there are people who've made it even without going to school. So what I teach them is that you also have a purpose in your life. It's not just about academics. What kind of a person are you? Character. You know, character is everything in this world. So the way I would strike a balance is to know that I'm going to teach this for this much, and then I'm going to encourage this person for this much time. Maybe the last 10 minutes, because my sessions are like hourly, you know. So for the last 10 minutes, just encourage that person, because these young people, they need constant encouragement, constant motivation. Now,
when it comes to also helping the young people find a way of talking to their parents and with their parents without feeling that, you know, they will not understand me, because that has always been a problem. Because also when you look back at your younger years, you feel you were not really able to talk to your parents about things that are really bugging you. They are slowly eating into your soul. How do you help, you know, young people just realize that, you know, their parents ultimately, they love them, and as much as, you know, they might not really understand you, but still they are your biggest supporters?
Well, with my students, by the way, they find it very easy to talk to me. There are things that I know about their homes and their parents that they do not know. You get? So for students, I would tell them, find a friend one who's sober. You know, find a role model, someone that you can share with, that you can talk to, that you know you're confident.
Yeah.
But still, even if they go and talk about it, please just know that you've shared. So the thing is, find a friend, find a mentor.
Someone you can trust.
Someone that you can trust with your issues.
Yeah.
Because you know why you're doing what you're doing. Because otherwise, maybe you're thinking, if I tell my parents, they will judge me, they will beat me up, you know. But if you find a friend, then they will be able to guide you through. This is how you deal. This is what you do. But most importantly also, read. Read the right books. Watch the right movies. Listen to the right videos of the right people with good character. That will definitely help you out in, you know, life.
Also, we cannot disregard the role that parents have to play, because you also find parents who struggle to understand their children.
Yes.
Do you talk with parents?
Yes, I do.
How would you now also just advise parents when it comes to trying to understand their kids and understand that they might not be the first people that they come to, but they are still needed through this journey, especially when dealing with loss of the other parent?
Yes, I would encourage, and I always encourage parents to be their children's friends. Be a friend to your son, to your daughter, because you won't have them for the longest time. I mean, forever. You know, you actually have your kids until they're 18. Until they're 18, sometimes they go to boarding school when they're young, so you really do not have them. So if you're friends with your kids, then you'll be able to they will be free with you to share whatever it is, the issues that they have, you know, because I remember my dad was my closest friend, and he would tell me, "Mommy, don't worry," when he was very sick. "Mommy, don't worry. You like going to America? Imagine you will go." So I still have that validation that he told me that I'm beautiful, that I will achieve whatever it is. So if your parent is not telling you that, then who will? Because the world will not. There's a lot of discouragements that happen. So for a parent, you've got to be a friend to your child.
And not just a parent.
Not just a parent. Be their friend. Get to listen to them. Don't go to work 24/7. You go to work in the morning, you come home very late, they've already slept, they were with their house help, so they really do not know you. I was talking to another parent, they told me that the reason why they had to resign is because they would come home and they would be like a stranger to the child, and the child would run to the house help. So they realize, I'm losing my child. So it's very important that, you know, you're the one who brought the kids to this world.
That is painful.
Yeah.
Your child's running away from you.
You know?
Because they feel they do not know you.
Yes. Right now, I can talk to my mom about everything. She knows who I'm dating today. She knows if it happened, it broke up, and she knows
everything.
And she tells me that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's very, very important. That's a first validation that one needs to have.
So a parent needs, from the parent.
You know,
In as much as, you know, sometimes you feel like throwing that child outside the window. Ultimately, you are what anchors them. And if they don't learn from you, they will learn from the world. And they will learn it the hard way. And ultimately, you might not be able to control that environment. And especially when they are younger. Now, as we draw the conversation to a close, maybe just journeying through this book, when you look at it now, you know, and what do you want other young people to understand when they read this book, when they read about your journey and what you have gone through and how you managed to overcome? What do you want somebody to just, that one thing that you want to be their take home?
Okay, your take home is you've got to be resilient. You're the only rescue to your future. You only have you. So please, you've got to love yourself, be resilient, listen to the right people, and focus. Focus. And if you can't do anything about any situation, pray.
Pray.
Yeah.
I like how you ultimately resort to prayer.
Yeah.
It costs you nothing.
Yeah.
But it brings you such palliative care.
Asante.
As we had mentioned.
Yeah.
All right, now I want you to just briefly just remind us how guys can find you once more on social media, for those who need to interact with you, how they can do so, if you have a physical location as well.
Yes. On Facebook, I am Joy Kimotho Kimotho.
Joy Kimotho Kimotho.
And on Twitter, I am Mbura Joy 1. Mbura Joy 1.
Mbura Joy 1.
Yes.
All right.
And my office is at Devon Plaza, which is in Westlands. Yeah, fourth floor.
So for those
Yes.
who are looking for a mentor or
Yes.
motivational speaker or someone to just encourage you, especially when you're dealing with loss, and if
Yes.
you are a young person out there, please feel free to interact with her. She is ready and willing to talk.
Yes,
Yeah?
I am.
Yeah, don't go through loss and let it eat you up when you know you don't have a let out that is constructive. Just find a way that can help you navigate through that water. And of course, she is here for that. Thank you so much for being with us.
Welcome.
Sharing with us your story.
Yes.
This is ultimate bravery, you know,
Yes.
just putting it out and
Yeah.
you can actually read it
Yeah.
and relive it.
Yeah.
That is ultimate strength.
TBC, probably.
All right. Now, that brings us to a close of this segment. Remember, we've been talking with Joyce Kimotho, who is a teacher. She is an education consultant. She's a motivational speaker and an author of this very powerful book. It is titled, I Am Not Dead. Even after loss, trying to find yourself again. Don't let yourself get swallowed by all that is going around you. I Am Not Dead. You can go ahead and reach out to her to know how you can get a copy. Any last words before we get to call it a discussion, at least to our viewers?
Yes.
There is your camera. Talk to them.
Great. So should I tell them where they can find it, or they can find it from me?
Once they get in touch on social media, I
Okay,
believe they'll
they
be
will.
able to do so.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would like to leave you with this famous quote by Lisa Nichols. Yes. So I have nothing, tell yourself, I have nothing to protect. I have nothing to defend. I have nothing to prove. So who do you choose to be?
Who do you choose to be? That brings us to a close of Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much for staying with us. Be sure to join us again tomorrow morning right here on KBC Channel 1 for another edition of Good Morning Kenya. My name is Jane Mamboy. Do have a lovely day. God bless. See you tomorrow.